Death has come to your little town, Sheriff.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Be my victim.
Hello, my name is Austin Torres, and welcome to Would You Die Live, the show where we talk about our favorite horror monsters and villains live. I am joined by my dear friend Chris from Dead Noise.
Hey, I know that guy.
I don't. We were going to have Vanna on the show, and if you guys listen to the show, you guys are very familiar with Vanna. She's been on the show a couple times. I don't think she's going to be on last second. I guess she ran into a little stinker named Art the Clown or something. So no. She let me know ahead of time that things are getting a little tight. So like, I'm gonna wait a little bit, but I think it's just gonna be us two today, which is fine. We're homies, no worries. These things happen, and
Yeah.
they happen when you do live stuff.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll do it live.
So how have you been just before we actually get into this? I know you had a birthday recently and you had a
Oh.
short film on your birthday. So I'm curious as to how the day went for you.
It was a good day. Most of my days the past few years have I just wake up, go to work, go home, go to work, go to bed. Like that's
Yep.
been my average day. So it was nice to have a day where I didn't work, which is not often. I went to the movies with my family. We saw the Halle Berry movie that just came out. Never Let Go. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
haven't
right.
seen that yet.
I liked it. I really liked it. I'm glad we saw it. And then went out to lunch. What else did we do? Released The Blood Witch, which you can watch on YouTube right now. It was fun. It was a good time. Went out with my friends in the evening. Had like 4 or 5 beers, had a couple shots, and
You're a
I
party
went
animal.
I am, but I'm a professional because I still went into work the next morning.
Oh wow. Good on you.
So, yeah, I'll play hard, but, I still put in the work.
Well, you're a podcaster. You work around the clock.
Exactly. Yep. You know it. You know it to be
Yep.
true.
I feel like everybody in the horror space or just the creative space in general feels that way. It's just like literally the grind never stops. I know that's a cliche saying, but it's hard to like take downtime.
You know what it feels like? It feels like we're the Dream Warriors because we can't sleep.
Oh my god. Yeah, no kidding.
But, we persist. The horrors persist. We be the horrors.
The horrors persist, but so do I.
Yes, we are the horrors. So, how have you been, my friend? For people who just kind of listen to the show here and there, Chris was a guest on episode 69.
Has it really been that long?
It
Isn't
has.
this is like 140, isn't it?
Yes.
That's crazy. That doesn't feel like that long ago.
Well, I think part of it is we do a good job like keeping in contact.
Yeah, that's true. Well,
We're
there was
homies.
there was the Dracula episode, and then you also graciously invited me on the Gremlins Christmas special too.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, I
I
forget that
forgot
happened
about that.
too.
I forget about the Gremlins special. The Gremlins special is always super stressful.
Oh yeah, I can imagine. We your this year's special, it was like, what was it, 5 different people, but like it was all separate sound bites because
Yeah.
when we did it, it was just you and me talking, and I feel like it was like that, but with 5 different people.
That's how I've done both of the Gremlins specials so far. Is that how I'm gonna do this year's Gremlins special?
We shall see.
I I have no clue, to be perfectly honest. I'm not that far ahead.
Boy, I know that feeling completely. See,
I honestly should be.
there's a part of me that I have things planned out like a year or 2 from now on like specific dates, specific times, things that I want to do. But then like looking at like the immediate future, like what I'm doing like next week, I can't tell you. Like I have ideas and I'm behind on things, but it's like trying to think ahead to what to do next. I'm like, I'm just winging it.
Yeah. So I feel that. It's been hard to juggle but the horrors persist.
Amen. So that's going to be the catchphrase of this episode, I feel.
I I fear it will be. So, if you are just tuning in, I'm just reminding everyone it's just me and Chris. Vanna's not feeling well, so Vanna will not be joining. But what we are doing today, and I am very excited, is Chris and I are drafting horror movie scores. And it's going to be a lot of fun. I love listening to drafts. Um, I've done one, I think, with the Three Wise Men Media. We did slashers
Mhm.
last year for Slashtober. Um, this hasn't been my strongest Slashtober, guys. I apologize. Normally, I like to theme October around slashers. This year, I'm just going with the flow. I'm just doing my best here.
We appreciate it. We salute you.
Next week's episode, I'll give it away. It's not gonna be Slashtober next week, it's gonna be Slothtober next week.
No way. Oh my
So
gosh. I can't wait.
so, and we might talk about an actual slasher villain Halloween week. We'll see. We will see. But, yeah, so far it was my birthday live stream where, we talked about horror friendships. Then last week, my friend Eric came on and we talked about the horror film Roulette, which, if you're watching live or you're listening to before October 27th, that's a cool event in Michigan. Great Michigan horror short films are there. Listen to that episode if you want to know more. But yeah, Chris, I just want to say I think you are the perfect guest for this horror score draft because and I'll give you opportunity to kind of talk more about it. You kind of fit in this niche where very you talk a lot about both horror movies and music.
I talk a lot in general, let's be real. Um yeah, I mean the fan bases with rock music and horror movies go hand in hand. They always have, and those are my 2 biggest passions in life. So I felt like, why talk about one or the other when I can just do both? I mean,
I
it
love
worked
that.
it worked for the Misfits, it's working for Ice Nine Kills, it's worked for most bands, it's worked for Wes Craven. I mean, I
Mhm.
would be foolish not to. And as a former band kid, also another one trumpet player to another, um
Yeah.
I'm very, very excited about this. When you came to me about this idea, number one, I'm athletically illiterate. I don't watch sports except for like combat sports. So like when it came to actual drafts like football and stuff like that, I have no idea what the terminology is, what any of that means. So I'm just here to like pick what I feel like will be my best team of scores that would beat your team because it's very just looking at the list right here, it's going to be very difficult. But I do have you did tell me that I don't have to pick off of this list, which I am so grateful for because a good half
Yeah.
of the picks I have planned are not on this list. So I'm very excited.
And speaking of which, let me kind of just tell the rules that we settled on, that settled on. It's my show. No, I'm kidding. So what we're doing is where are my notes? I swear I'm prepared. Oh, that's because my MacBook doesn't want to connect to my notes. Rude. So
Yeah, I got my notes
basically,
pulled up on my phone
hell
for that
yeah.
exact reason.
So we're gonna adjust them a little bit because we are missing our dear friend Vanna. She couldn't make it. Oh well, it happens. Vanna's the best, by the way. Look up Siren Death Cult and her horror. She's so smart. She's awesome. Um,
Her podcast is really good too.
yes, Rotten FM.
Mhm.
Shout out to the homies at Rotten FM. I just listened to their Fantastic Fest recap, I think
Oh my
last week.
god.
It was
That was
really
so good.
made me wish I was at Fantastic Fest.
You and me both.
So here are the rules. Each player will pick 10 horror film scores as part of their team. And then the way I'll decide a winner is the chat can vote afterwards, since this is live. And then people listening in on Apple, Spotify, or watching this stream later, you guys can comment, and I'll tally up all the comment. Fuck it, we're doing it live.
We're
I will
doing it
tally
live.
up. I will tally up all the comments and votes, so to speak, and announce the winner on Halloween. So that's how that will be decided. One rule, each player can only pick a composer once. For example, if a player chooses John Carpenter's Halloween, they cannot also have Christine. However, the next player will be able to choose Christine or The Fog or whichever. So since it's only the two of us now, each player a composer will only be picked twice. So someone who has countless horror scores like Jerry Goldsmith,
Mhm.
he's only going to be represented twice. And then since it's just the two of us, we'll just go back and forth, starting with you.
Oh,
So
man, you're gonna put me in the hot seat first?
with the number one overall pick, which score are you going with?
See, I feel like I have to pick this one first just so you don't pick it. And that's gonna be Scream, Marco Beltrami's score for the first film. It is not on this list. See, I told come on. um, I feel like it's too good to not pick first. I think what sticks out to me the most about it is how number one, it was Marco Beltrami's first it was his first horror film, but I think it was one of his first features in general. And
Mhm.
he was he didn't approach it like a horror score. It was mainly inspired by Western films and Western composers. And also, I think the story of how Wes Craven found him and hired him by finding him on like a online chat room is really amusing. And but you can hear the Western influences in like the opening scene and during some of the montage sequences, and I think it just works really well for a horror film.
Oh, I agree. I think Scream is a great um I'm gonna say underrated horror score. I think it gets overshadowed by the classics for sure, but every time you watch Scream, it's just the music does so much.
Hmm Also, Ice Nine Kills did a Scream song a few years ago when they released the deluxe edition of their first Silver Scream album. And towards the end of the song, you can hear elements of Sydney's theme in like their like the outro of that song, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, as a fan like of both horror and Ice Nine Kills, and to see it work, to see a classical score work that well in a metal song is really fun.
It really is. I think that's awesome. Um, and Ice Nine Kills does that a lot.
Yes.
Like their Halloween song has a little bit of that John Carpenter. Um their Jaws song has a little bit of that John Williams in it.
American Nightmare, Thank
Mhm.
God It's Friday. I mean, really most of their horror-based songs do.
I think all of them. Um,
Um
Kinda if the film they're covering has a strong musical identity.
yeah, that's the big part because some of them have memorable scores and some of them don't. And there are some where they'll
Right.
have orchestral elements, but it's not based on the score of the movie, which I think is even cooler that they're able to improvise and have their own stick on it.
Yeah, I like them. I like them a lot. Um, so it's my turn
Yep.
with the second overall pick, and my first pick, I am gonna go just like you. I'm gonna
Uh-oh.
take I'm gonna take a team, or I'm gonna take a film score that um is not on the list I made up, and I'm gonna get John Williams off the board, and I'm gonna pick Jurassic Park.
I knew you were gonna do that. I knew it was either gonna be Jaws or Jurassic Park. You animal.
And you know, people who listen to this show, they know I uh I love Jurassic Park. It's my favorite movie. It's a horror movie.
Mhm.
And yes, there's beautiful music in it. Like you can walk down your the wedding aisle to the Jurassic Park theme. That's
That's an
how
idea.
beautiful that theme is. But there's like a lot there's these great monster movie moments in that score. The carnivore motif, which is like the bum 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 bum, so good. And it that score is based around that idea.
Mhm.
And the pretty themes are the ones that everyone knows, but you watch that movie, it's really that four-note carnivore motif, which is dominating the film score, and the last, like, 10 minutes or so of that movie, I think is some of John Williams' best horror and action writing.
Mhm. I
It's
I would agree.
yeah, it's so thrilling and rhythmically, I I like to listen to film scores when I'm at work sometimes, and whenever I put on Jurassic Park, I get to the end, I'm like, it's just so exciting to listen to, not just watching the movie, and that's I think Jurassic Park has one of the most exciting endings of any movie. I'm a little biased, it's my favorite movie, but
I mean,
still,
you're not wrong though. It's justified for sure.
there's a reason that's one of the biggest movies, like, almost everyone has seen that movie, and the
Mhm.
ones who haven't know about it.
If you know, you know.
It's one of the most popular movies ever made, but Jurassic Park is my first pick. Scream is your first pick. So I can no longer pick J-Dubs. You can no longer pick Marco Beltrami. Who is going to be your second horror film score?
Hmm. That's a good question. You know, I didn't have this on my list, and I feel like a complete idiot for not having it. I think I got to go with Beetlejuice, just because, like,
Beetlejuice. Okay.
I love Danny Elfman. He's one of I feel like anyone in our age range probably has him in their at least top 5 favorite composers. Because I mean,
Hmm.
the work he's done with Nightmare Before Christmas, Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice. I can't name enough of his works because they're just all so good. Especially Beetlejuice because it's so out there. Like it still feels like a Danny Elfman score when you've seen enough of his movies, but it's so perfect for the character of Beetlejuice and just that setting and just the film in general and the tone that it gives off. It really, honestly, they knocked it out of the park with hiring him because I was trying to think earlier, like if you would have switched composers with certain movies, would it have been as effective? And I don't think that would have been the case with Beetlejuice. I think that he was the best candidate. And before you pick him, I feel like I have to.
That's very fair. I think Beetlejuice is a fantastic score. I'm not the biggest fan of Tim Burton movies, and I'm not the biggest fan of Danny Elfman scores when he's working with Tim Burton.
Austin.
I'm gonna be I love Danny Elfman. Like, I think his Spider-Man scores are iconic and amazing.
Mhm.
Um, I'm not gonna pick this later, so I can give it an honorable mention. The hit Danny Elfman score to the 2010 Wolfman
Oh,
goes
yeah,
really fucking hard.
that's true.
Like, that score they use that score in movie trailers for, like, 5 years.
Yeah. D Honestly, even his quote unquote weakest score is still like a highlight to any other composer's body of work, in my opinion.
Danny Elfman, yeah.
He does not
And
miss.
I'm just gonna be honest, I blame it more on Tim Burton, me not just caring for Tim Burton's style,
Mm,
um, which, you know, I'm gonna give Tim Burton a lot of credit, he makes Tim Burton movies, that's great, he's a great filmmaker, but it's hard to like his filmography when you don't vibe with the style, and he's so very much himself in
yeah,
his work.
it's
I
kinda
don't
like
think
the
they're
curse.
bad.
Like, if you don't like one of them, you can't like any of them because they're all so similar in a way.
Right, but for me, the exception is Beetlejuice. I fucking love Beetlejuice.
Did you see the new one?
I did, I'm gonna add that as well. I love the 2 Beetlejuice movies, and I love his 2 Batman movies.
Mm, I haven't seen the Batman movies, but
I think they're awesome.
I'm,
And Danny Elfman scores for those Batman movies as well. Those are bangers.
yeah, when I was in band back in the day, because it
Mhm.
was so long ago, um, my freshman year, and this eventually became our senior piece. So, like the year we graduated, we got our class got to choose one piece to play their final concert, and this was it. It was called "Music for a Darkened Theater," and it was
Oh, I played that too!
yeah, exactly. So like it had Tales from the Crypt, Beetlejuice, Edward
Mhm.
Scissorhands. It had Spider-Man at the end. Um, yeah, that was such a fun thing to play. It was hard freshman year in a way, but then when we played it, like we were working on it senior year for the last concert, and we're like, how did we think this was difficult? Because the arrangement was so much. It I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like you know what I'm trying to say.
I do. I do. But I'm gonna move us on. So, your number 2 pick is Beetlejuice. My number 2 pick, I am going to go I'm gonna go Psycho, Bernard Herrmann.
Mm,
Take
that's
Psycho off the board. And I mean, what can you say about the Psycho score that hasn't been said? It's just one of the greatest, not just horror scores, just one of the greatest scores ever made. It's so iconic.
mhm,
Like, everyone knows the "wee, wee, wee, wee," you know? And the fact that it's only strings,
yeah,
Bernard Herrmann, who is a legendary film composer, right? I think my favorite of his, scores is Vertigo,
me too.
but Vertigo's so good. But, like, with Psycho, he's only using the string section, and it's like he's composing with his right hand tied behind his back,
Yep.
and he's still putting out one of the greatest scores ever written. Like, holy hell. And it's violent. Like,
Yeah.
The score for Psycho is violent music. And it's eerie and it's unsettling, and I love it.
Like you said, I think everybody knows the shower scene, even if they haven't even
Yeah,
seen the movie. But the main theme that plays like during the opening credits is like my
the
favorite.
prelude, yep.
Yeah, that's the
Mhm.
best in my opinion. Like I think the shower scene, the strength, like it's cool and it's funny for the meme and everything, but the prelude is like top notch.
And I agree, the prelude is my favorite, because it's like it's just I love it. But that shower scene, those high strings, composers ripped that off for, like, 20 years. You
Yeah.
could you can hear it so much in, like, Carrie, which is a great score. You can
Mhm.
hear it a lot in Jaws, which is a great score.
It's in The Exorcist too, to some degree.
Yeah,
Like,
it's in a lot of those, movies that, like, Friday the 13th is very psycho
oh,
coded
oh yeah.
music-wise. So, um, yeah, I'll do a recap real quick. Rounds 1 and 2 out of 10. Chris has picked Scream and Beetlejuice. I have picked Jurassic Park and Psycho. So now we are moving on to round 3. Chris, you are on the board.
See, I feel like I really gotta step my game up because you just went right off the bat with one of the best scores of all time picking Jurassic Park. Um, but, I gotta shout this one out though, Silver Bullet by Jay Chataway. I know Silver Bullet's not the most popular werewolf movie. A lot of horror fans know it, thankfully. It's got a big online presence. I just wish it had more mass appeal, but the music to that movie is so good. I know some people hate it. I have a friend who despises this movie, and she even commented like how it felt like watching a family drama, like a Hallmark movie,
Mhm.
because of the music. And I thought that's what was cool about it, because it's like there were moments where it sounded like a horror score, but a big majority of it felt like a family friendly movie, but it was still effective and it still worked for the tone that the movie was going for. I'm really biased because that movie was filmed like an hour away from where I live. And so like any chance
Oh,
to shout
that's
that movie
cool.
out, I'm going to take it. Yeah. I went to where I went to college. I went to college in Wilmington, and that's where,
Mhm.
a lot of movies are filmed. It was called the Hollywood of the East for a long time until it wasn't. And before a lot of the city was developed, that's where Cat's Eye was filmed, Silver Bullet,
Mm.
Firestarter, too many movies. I can't name them all. We'd be here forever. But Silver
That's a lot of
Bullet has
Stephen
a
King.
yeah, and it was all within like 4 years of each other. Um, but yeah, I feel like Silver Bullet has such a good score that goes under the radar. Like the whole movie goes under the radar, but the people that know the movie always talk about Gary Busey, Corey Haim, the werewolf that looks like a bear, but nobody talks about the score, and it's so good.
I get it. I totally get it. So, you're leaving the heavy hitters on the board for me.
I know.
I could easily just go iconic horror, but that's not a fun draft, and like you said earlier, I already have Jurassic Park. So,
We're going for variety here.
um, I agree. I wanna go for variety as well, and I'm gonna pick a recent favorite, a score I think is phenomenal. Since the movie came out 2 years ago, I can't stop listening to it. It's everything I want from a horror score and a Western score.
Oh, yeah, I think I know where this is going.
I'm gonna pick Nope by
Mhm.
Michael Abels. I think that is such an incredible score, and I wish that, like, Nope I mean, Nope was very well received, and it made a good amount of money,
Mhm.
but I just wish it kind of broke through a bit more. I wish people talked about it a bit. I mean, it gets talked about plenty. Like it's not indie, you know.
No.
It's not niche. Might be a little, but no, I wish that like I don't know, it caught the fascination of the general public the way it caught mine.
Mhm.
Um maybe it I don't know. I don't know, but all I'm saying is that score for Nope is there's some great Western film music writing in there, which I was not expecting. The
Mhm.
scene where OJ does the run to get the picture of Jean Jacket, the footage of Jean Jacket, and then it's like pure mm, mm. In the scene where OJ is like distracting Jean Jacket so Emerald can get away on the electric bike, and Jean Jacket's, like, showing its true form to
Yeah.
oh,
I gotta watch that movie again. I haven't watched it since I saw it in the theater when it came out, so it's been a while. But, I remember, like, there was a lot going on in that movie, and at times, it was hard for me to follow because while I did go to film school, I did not retain a lot of that knowledge. And, I knew that there was a bigger picture to a lot of what was going on, but I just couldn't put my finger on it, so I kinda gravitated to the score because that was something I could understand, and, yeah, I feel like yeah, the like you said, that part towards the end, that was probably one of my favorite moments too.
and, yeah, I think it's a great score across the board from beginning to end, but it's the end where it's, like, really Michael Abels really gets to truly shine, kinda like how Jean Jacket really shows
Mhm.
what it's capable of at the end of the movie, same with the film score.
Yeah, I agree.
So I'll do a quick recap. Through 3 rounds, Chris has picked Scream, Beetlejuice, and Silver Bullet. I, your humble Would You Die host, have picked Jurassic Park, Psycho, and Nope. So on to round 4.
Mm, 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 mm. Um, let's see. Yeah, I'm gonna go with a recent one too. Well, partly recent. The third installment was just released last week. Um, so I'm gonna go with Terrifier. I just remember, obviously, the gore is like the big talking point, but when I first saw the first Terrifier, I I saw the vision. I saw Damien's vision. I saw what he was going for. I feel like that first Terrifier is such a unique movie, especially watching it after watching the two sequels, because there's a lot of storytelling and world building in the two sequels where I feel like the first one was just I'm not trying to like downplay it because I think it's a great movie, but I do feel like he was trying to make a statement from the perspective of just creating a spectacle of a movie and trying
Mhm.
to see how far he could push the envelope. And then the storytelling and like actually explaining the story to the viewer came in the second movie, which I'm okay with because you could see the seeds planted in the first one. But what stuck out to me a lot was the music because it felt very it was like modern, but it was also really like low budget 80s sounding. Like the first thing that the first example that came to my mind was Nightmare on Elm Street because it was very synthy and the way it was utilized when art showed up on screen, it was very reminiscent of like when Freddy would pop up in the dream. Um and to see how the score has evolved like through the two sequels and have the same themes, but still having different ways to have sonic variety to it, I thought was really cool. But I know I can't pick 3 movies, so I'm just gonna go with the first one.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Terrifier. I didn't think I mean, I know, like, because that main thing, like do 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 do, like it's got that kind of grindhouse
Yeah.
feel to it. I mean, the whole movie does, but the score, like even if you didn't watch the movie, you can tell from the score what kind of movie it is.
Yes, absolutely.
So the good pick. That's a good pick. I think that's a pretty good score.
Also, not part of the score, but it's part of the soundtrack. Shout out
Mhm.
Ice Nine Kills yet again for a work of art. That music video and that song was exactly what the title said it was. It was a work of art. And I'm trying to see it again this week just
Hell
to
yeah.
listen to the song on repeat on the way to the theater.
Oh, I love that. I love that. If I I'm trying to get my mom to go see Terrifier 3. I think that'd be fun.
See, my mom wants to watch those movies so badly because she met David and Damien, and
Mhm.
my whole family, like my dad and her, thought that they were the nicest people. I'm like, yeah,
'Cause
that's
they
why I
are.
can't. That's why I can't let you watch the movies though, because you're gonna look at them differently.
And that's precisely why I wanna take my mom, 'cause I'm like, 'cause she met Damien with me, at a horror convention, and just, he is the nicest guy, he is
Yes,
awesome, and I'm be like, "You're gonna like him even more when you see how disturbing his art is." Pun
that's
intended.
one way to go about it, I guess. See, my mom can't handle horror movies that much though. Like I made the mistake of watching House of a Thousand Corpses with my parents once, and
Mm.
that's when I found where the line was. They love Hatchet and they love the Hatchet series, but like that really serious, darker tone like House of a Thousand, like the grindhousey stuff, I am never watching something like that with them again.
That's interesting because I feel like the Terrifier movies are closer to Hatchet than they are to House of a Thousand Corpses.
I agree. However, there are certain kill
They're still
scenes.
extreme.
Yeah,
They're s they're very extreme.
look, they can watch if they're watching this, you can watch it on your own time because there are some scenes that I will not be comfortable sitting next to you watching.
Nah, I'm fine with it. I'll do it. Um, I mean, my mom's a cinephile. We'll go see anything. So, and she loves horror. So,
That helps.
all right, my fourth pick. It's so so here's the thing. Here's the thing. It's so easy for me to pick the iconic ones because they're still available. The only one I can't pick is Jaws
Oh, yeah, you're right.
because I've already picked a John Williams one. So you're leaving them on the board for me.
I'm trying to keep this
So,
interesting. I'm trying to keep us both on our toes.
but that's also why I'm like, well, I don't want to just dominate with the easy ones because I ain't about
Do it.
that.
Go ahead.
And I do have Jurassic Park and Psycho already.
True.
So, and some people might argue this is a heavy hitter because it might have it's just a beautiful score. I think it's iconic, but it's not iconic in the same way Jurassic Park is, right? Um, but I'm gonna go with a personal favorite of mine, which I think is one of the most beautiful scores in all of horror, and I'm gonna pick Candyman by Philip Glass.
That is not where I thought you were going, but I like it.
Candyman is the piano, the chorus, the organ, it's
True.
haunting, it's ethereal, it's a beautiful melody that do 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 do
Mhm.
do do boom boom, like, it's so good, I love it.
I mean, Philip Glass is a really solid composer too.
Yeah,
He did he did a score for the original Dracula from 1931, and had I not been conditioned for so long of the borderline silent version of that film, because 1931 sound was brand new, why put music in there? Had I not been conditioned to that for so long, I would probably watch the version with Philip Glass's score more because it's really good. But I just don't. I'm so used to the other version, it's like hard for me to be like, oh yeah, this fits for Dracula because. But if it was any other
right.
movie, it would be perfect. Yeah, I love Philip Glass. I think he's really good. I forgot he did Candyman too. I feel like such a poser. Oh my god.
No, you're good. You're bringing out Silver Bullet and Terrifier, like scores
Hey,
people should appreciate more, but they get overshadowed by Jaws and
and
Psycho.
Jurassic Park and Candyman.
Well, I don't
um,
know if Candyman's on the level of like Jurassic Park and Psycho and Jaws.
mhm.
Um,
It
but it
should be
is
though.
just as beautiful. I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
if it's as mainstream though.
Yeah, I don't either. I want to say I feel like the remake helped with its popularity, but I'm not too sure
Yeah.
about that either.
I think Candyman would be on the same level as like Scream.
Yeah, I can see that.
Just kind of like, and I'm being careful to only pick movies that we've already picked when I'm mentioning, because I don't want to say like movie here and then that influence either of our,
That's a good idea.
because there are heavy hitters that that are still on the board. There are people screaming at us.
Oh yeah, I can.
They are screaming at us. Why has
If
John Carpenter not been picked yet?
listen, if they could see the list that's in front of me right now, they would be like, "Why aren't you picking this one? Why aren't you picking this one?"
Yeah, there's a certain film with an iconic horror film score that rhymes with um the Mexorcist.
You know,
There's The Mining
the
still still on the board. Some
um, let's see.
some people are like, but anyways,
I'm trying to think of a clever name for some of the other ones. I'm not. My brain's not working too good right now.
well,
Um,
well, let's move on to round five. I'll do a recap real quick. Chris's lineup so far is Scream, Beetlejuice is iconic.
yeah.
Um, Scream, Beetlejuice, Silver Bullet, and Terrifier. My lineup is Jurassic Park, Psycho, Nope, and Candyman.
Hmm. You know, I should really start going for the heavy hitters, but I also have
Mhm.
some underappreciated ones. I'm gonna go with a heavy hitter, and it might not be at the level of something like Jaws or Jurassic Park, but it is in my heart, and that is Gremlins. Um, Jerry
Jerry
Goldsmith,
Goldsmith off the
what
board.
what a man, what a composer. Um,
Ah,
a good
Gremlins is
chunk
iconic.
a good chunk of his scores are on this list. Um,
No, really. Like for transparency, I came up with this list while I was getting ready for work, and I spent like maybe a total of 5 minutes on it. Um, just to have a couple in case we need something to look back on, and we haven't even used it all the way. Like we've picked
no,
scores that are not on this list, but I'm sorry I interrupted you.
no, I was agreeing with you. I also think if I was gonna pick a Jerry Goldsmith score, it would be a crime to not pick Gremlins because anyone who knows me knows how much I love Gremlins. I mean, you know, so
Oh yeah, oh
like
yeah.
it, it's kind of like Silver Bullet. It's got that family Spielbergian theme, but there's also moments where it's like petrifying. Like it builds the suspense. It fits in that darker direction, but it's also very light and fluffy when it needs to be because that's just the tone of the movie. Also, the best Christmas movie ever made.
It is. I agree.
I mean, look, Terrifier 3 is getting close. I'm just saying, but yeah,
I
I feel
like
like that's a great one.
I like Terrifier 3 a lot, but Gremlins blows it out of the water for me.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I don't think Damien Leone would be upset hearing that.
He would understand.
He'd understand exactly. He might agree.
He's
He
an
seems like
understanding
he
guy.
seems like someone who loves Gremlins.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He seems like someone who should be my friend. I would
Honestly,
like to be friends.
That's goals, isn't it? Like, everyone on that crew, everyone affiliated with those movies, as messed up
Yeah,
as those movies are, they all seem like such cool people.
I
Like,
know.
I don't drink, but I'd buy them a beer.
I think, and I don't know them, but I just feel like they are so nice because they get all of their nasty and dark energy and put it into these movies.
That's
So
true.
they have no more nasty and dark energy.
They use it all.
They use it all to make art, pun intended.
Literally.
So, all right, Gremlins is off the board. My number 5 pick. I am also going to go Jerry Goldsmith, but you put me in a pickle.
Oh. Oh, yeah, I'm looking at the options now. Yeah,
There
you
are
got
two.
options.
There are two. And just reminding everyone, if you're just tuning in, you can only pick a composer once. So I picked Jurassic Park first. I cannot pick Jaws. I cannot pick War of the Worlds.
But I can.
But yeah, exactly. Chris can. Probably picking. Just gonna save Jaws for last in case he needs a heavy hitter, because he knows it's not coming off.
You called it to a T.
And you're welcome to do that. But my number 5 pick. Fans of this show are going to be shocked because Alien will not be a part of this episode. I am picking The Omen.
I knew it. I knew that was going to be
it. How can I not? How can I not? In a way, you made it easier because I didn't have to debate Gremlins, which is one of my favorite scores. Also, that's Jerry Goldsmith, guys. Jerry Goldsmith is a legend, like so prolific, and not just in horror. He did Planet of the Apes. He did Star Trek: The Motion Picture. But when you just talk about horror, you have Gremlins. You have The Omen, which is an Oscar-winning score.
Mm-hmm.
You have Alien. You have Poltergeist. You have the Brendan Fraser The Mummy films. Jerry Goldsmith will go down as one of the greatest film composers who ever lived.
Mm-hmm.
Behind only John Williams and maybe Bernard Herrmann.
Yeah.
I sincerely believe that.
I was going to say Danny Elfman too, but that's just my bias. How about the way that they utilized his score in the first Omen?
I wish they used more of it, but that's just me being a Jerry Goldsmith stan.
Mm-hmm.
In the film, they waited. They waited to use Ave Satani, and they used it at the best part.
Mm-hmm.
So watching the movie the first time, I was like, I wish they used a bit more goals. I mean, the stuff that what's his name? Mark Corvin, I think. He also did The Witch.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another really good score. I think the first Omen score is fantastic. I really enjoy it. But I was also like, where's the Goldsmith stuff? But the way they ended up doing it, I was like, I was like, after watching it and overcoming my initial disappointment because I wanted more of the same, I liked it so much more because I'm like, they didn't give me more of the same. But
it's funny you mentioned. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, but they use Ave Satani at the perfect moment, and that made me very happy.
Yeah, it's funny how you mentioned that mindset of wishing that there was more of his score, because that's kind of how I feel with the Scream movies, like the latest ones, because like I love Brian Tyler's scores, but like Marco Beltrami was just so perfect for those movies. So every time they use a certain cue in like 5 or 6 in the newer ones, it's like, man, I just wish Marco Beltrami was scoring this movie, because it's just so iconic. It's so fitting. But yeah, First Omen was really. How about the fact that First Omen is on Disney Plus too? I can't get over that. Um,
And When Evil Lurks.
no way. I knew Suitable Flesh was, but oh my god, so many
You
things
know
are
what
gonna be
I watched
screwed
on
up.
Disney or no, I didn't watch it. You know what I saw on Disney Plus, and I really wanted to watch it just for the, novelty of saying I've watched this film on Disney Plus?
What was that?
Fucking Bone Tomahawk.
What are these movies doing on Disney Plus?
Well, it's because they combined Hulu and Disney Plus. So it's like
Oh,
you can watch anything on Hulu from Disney Plus
wait. So
without having to switch apps.
does that mean Immaculate is on Disney Plus too?
I'm pretty sure.
So can I say
All the
Sister
Alien movies,
Cecilia? Sister Cecilia is my favorite Disney princess now.
the Xenomorph Queen's my favorite Disney queen.
You're right. You got me there.
But no, yeah, you could say that. There's a lot of things you could say. You could say Jigsaw is your favorite Disney princess because I'm pretty sure the Saw movies are on Hulu.
There, there are so many options coming to my brain right now. It is dangerous.
Oh my goodness. So I'll do a quick recap, then we'll move on to
Mhm.
round 6. Through 5 rounds, Chris's lineup includes Scream, Beetlejuice, Silver Bullet, Terrifier, and Gremlins. My lineup consists of Jurassic Park, Psycho, Nope, Candyman, and The Omen. So, what will your 6 horror score be?
Oh my goodness. Let's see. This is only number 6. I got time. I'm not gonna
You got
pick
time.
Jaws yet.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Yeah, that's the one that's safe.
let's see how the competition stacks up. I have a question because this is
Sure.
not on the list. How because of silent movies having a million different scores for one movie, is that a cop out or can I pick a specific score?
I'm gonna. I didn't think about this scenario. Um, I'm gonna say no, only because while it is, uh, while it is an original score, it wasn't made while the movie was being made. So I don't know. It's like different to me.
Mhm. That makes sense.
And like silent movies could have so many different scores, because different people have, especially since a lot of them are like public domain, different composers
Mhm.
could just practice to them.
That's true.
So I
That's
just
a fair point.
think, um, and I don't want to say it's not original to the film, but I think it should be original film scores that were composed for the creation of that film.
Mhm. Yeah, I can get on board with that. That throws my plan out the window.
I'm
Not
sorry.
not really. No, you're good. Let's see.
There are
Okay,
a lot
yeah.
of great horror scores, so
Yeah, exactly. I keep going back to this list. I'm like, let's see, which one can I go with? I'm gonna go with Hatchet. Um,
let me go back to this list and not use it. Hatchet. That
yeah.
that has a fun little a motif for Victor Crowley. It's like the Victor Crowley. No, that's not it, but it's so singy songy. They don't say Victor Crowley, but in my
No.
head it sounds like they're saying Victor Crowley. Like his
Mhm.
theme sounds like the words should be Victor Crowley, but it's not.
Honestly, there's moments, especially in the first one, where it kind of I can't point out like the specific like cues. So like if you look up the soundtrack, you'll know what I'm talking about. But like
Mhm.
if you've seen both movies, you'll kind of hear it. There are parts that remind me of the Terrifier theme. Um Particularly when they're going through the woods and it's like after they've already seen Victor Crowley for the first time, there's this like piano part that is kind of reminiscent of the Terrifier theme, like the way, like the rhythm, the arpeggiation, everything about it is very similar. It's just not on a 1980s synthesizer. It's on the piano.
Right.
Um, but there's also like that montage sequence when they're on the scare bus driving to the swamp and like going through New Orleans, and it's very John Williams-esque. And
Yeah, it is.
that's like the one moment in that entire movie that has that, but it sticks out so much because of that. And when I met Adam Green in August now, yeah, August, I told him, I was like, that's probably my favorite musical thing in any of your movies. Like, I love Digging Up the Marrow, I love Frozen, but that one cue in that one scene is probably my favorite musical thing in all of your work. And yeah, plus it's underrated. I mean, it's Hatchet, but not enough people know about it, so I'm gonna go with that.
That's awesome, man. I love it. I love that we're able to shout out these underrated scores, these scores that people maybe don't really know as much. And Hatchet is fun. It's so much fun. It's a really fun score. It's a really good score. And yeah, that's awesome. But I played a win.
The look on your face when you said that. Oh god. Yeah, that's fair. That's
I'm
fair.
gonna take I'm gonna take John Carpenter off the board. Halloween.
There we go.
It is a sin. We let it drop to the 6th round.
666?
I'm watching this go, I'm like, how has no one picked Halloween?
It's too easy. I feel
too-
like it's like too perfect. It's like I don't want to be the one to like take that off the board, but I'm gonna. Like
Yeah,
could.
I mean, if it's there, I'm like, there's no way I can let this draft go and not pick Halloween.
Yeah. I wonder how many people are going to be like listening to this after the fact, just screaming at themselves, like, "How have they gone this far and
I
not even
know.
talked about this?"
I was mentally screaming at myself. Like, Halloween is one of those heavy hitters. It is one of those most iconic film scores. Everyone knows it. And the
Mhm.
fact that John Carpenter himself did it.
Yeah.
That's how low budget they were. The film director had to compose the score for it. Like, what? That's insane.
Yeah.
I know music. I couldn't compose my own score.
No, not at all. Me
And
neither.
for it to be like, we couldn't afford a composer, so I just did it. Oh, you just happened to make one of the greatest scores of all time. Not just horror. Everyone knows the Halloween theme.
No biggie. Just yeah, somebody had to do it. So why not
If
me?
if you ever had like a middle school band, there is always a one percussionist to go to the xylophone or the glockenspiel and do the dee doo doo dee doo doo dee doo dee doo dee doo doo. That is like a universal band kid experience.
That's a love language.
So
Um Yeah, I feel like some would probably argue that that's the heaviest hitter just because of its status and what it's done for modern horror. Like, people, I don't know. I feel like that's obviously like Friday the 13th has great themes, Nightmare on Elm Street has great themes, Scream has amazing themes. But if you're just going off of mass appeal and popularity, I mean, you gotta give it to Halloween. It's not even Look, I like Halloween. I wouldn't call it my favorite slasher movie, but it is such a legendary movie that it's like you can't not give it credit when it's due, and it's always due. So like,
it's always you. Exactly. And it's October. It's
yeah,
basically Halloween.
we're halfway
It
to
is
Halloween.
it is Mikey My month. So our recap through 6 rounds, Chris's lineup: Scream, Beetlejuice, Silver Bullet, Terrifier, Gremlins, and Hatchet. My lineup: Jurassic Park, Psycho, Nope, Candyman, The Omen, and Hollow fucking Ween.
Not just regular Halloween.
Exactly. Halloween had to come off the board. I'm like, okay, I have Jurassic Park, I have Psycho, I got my two iconics. I have like the not as iconic, but still like amazing scores in Candyman and The Omen. I have my recent gem in Nope. I'm like, I'm gonna try and play like Chris, have like some underappreciated ones, but I'm like, Halloween is still on the board. It
That
is
is the best way
staring
to
at
put
me.
it.
It is
It's like
staring at me.
it's like that Always Sunny meme with Charlie and the diagram in the background. He's like freaking out, pointing at it.
Yeah.
This
Yeah,
is how it is trying to
exactly.
come up with our draft. Um,
So, and like I said, I play to win.
yeah. Well, you're doing a good job so far, buddy.
So, it is your turn. This is round 7. Your next pick is
God, you know. Okay, yeah, I got to do this. Godzilla. It was on.
okay.
It was on my
Okay, there
list,
we go.
and so when I saw it on this one, I was like, okay, one of us is gonna pick it. It has to be me. I mean, let's see if I can move this. I don't know if you can see. That's a whole shelf of Godzilla, and
I love
there
that.
I got more all over my room.
If I move my
Godzilla's the
head,
goat.
there's some Godzilla
Oh yeah.
figures throughout. I mean, it's mostly Jurassic Park and wait, Jurassic Park, Ghostface. There's some Mikey on my shelf, a lot of Godzilla, a lot of Alien.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think just for the sheer fact that there have been 31 just Japanese Godzilla movies, and almost
Yeah,
all of them have used some variation of this original score by Akira Ifukube. Like, you want to talk about iconic? That is the franchise. That is the character. That
yeah,
is Godzilla. Like, you can't watch a Godzilla movie and not hear those themes. And the fact that there's so many of them too. Like, there's so
yeah,
many different ones as the franchise progressed, and he composed all of them because he was with them up until the 80s, and then they started to recycle them and sprinkle in like original scores from other people, I believe. But yeah, I feel like just that's too iconic. Like and it's Godzilla. Like that's one of the
yeah.
best monsters. It's the king of the monsters. Like that's the best of
And
the best.
it's the king of the monster themes. Like it is so good. And they're using it as recently as Godzilla minus one.
Yep. You mean the best movie of 2023? I agree. Oh,
Is
yeah.
it my favorite movie of 2023? I think it is.
It's mine. I'm
I think it
hellaciously
is.
biased, but
Um, I do think it is. And um, the I got to there's an IMAX close to me, which when I say close, I mean it's like 5 minutes away from me.
I'm
So
so
I go
jealous.
see movies. I go see movies in the IMAX all the time. And like when I saw Godzilla minus one in the IMAX and Godzilla's first attack, like when his first when he first makes landfall, and it's a boom, 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 boom in the IMAX. Oh my god! I, you know that meme of Max from Stranger Things, like lifting into the air, listening
Yes.
to the that was me. That was literally me.
I had to drive an hour and a half to see minus one in IMAX, and let me tell you, it was worth it. I would do it again. um,
No, I
but
got one
yeah,
5 minutes away from me. I
yeah,
see
I
everything
wish.
in the IMAX.
See that theater that's like where I went to college, that's the theater that gets all the anniversary screenings also.
Mm,
So like I saw Jaws there, I saw Scream and Scream
mhm.
2 there. I saw Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the Invisible Man.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah. So, but like now that I'm an hour and a half away, I have to like be really selective because I can't just go there on a Wednesday afternoon anymore.
Right.
And we got two theaters here in Jacksonville, but they don't get a lot of those very often. When they had show times for the Terrifier double feature last week, I was floored. I was so glad. But yeah, Godzilla, that's the goat.
All right. That's the heaviest of hitters.
Oh, literally.
So, my pick for number 7, I'm going to go back into the Clive Barker well and pick Christopher Young's score for Hellraiser.
That's fair.
It is.
That's okay.
That score
allow it.
is that score is so beautiful. Bum, ba-dum, but oh my god, it's sweeping, it's orchestral. It sounds like it shouldn't be for a movie as grotesque and yucky as Hellraiser,
Yeah.
but but that film is so ethereal and just like it elevates. I don't want to say it elevates the film. That's not the case. But it reinforces what the film is.
Mhm.
Because without that score, I think that film can just kind of fall to schlock.
Mhm.
But with that score, it it reinforces Clive Barker's vision,
Mhm.
which he can only do so much on a low budget.
Ain't that the truth?
But that score reminds you this is otherworldly. Like it sounds like it belongs in a space epic. Like
Mhm.
a $100 million space epic, not the what 3 to 5 mil they had for Hellraiser.
Yeah.
And it makes Pinhead and the Cenobites feel larger than life, which they should.
Yeah. Because they
That
are.
that score does so much, and I don't think Hellraiser works as a film without it.
Mhm. I agree. That's it's kind of like some of the picks that I had, like Silver Bullet and Terrifier. It's like people
Yeah.
know these movies, but their scores probably go under the radar. That's how I feel about Hellraiser because I feel like when somebody thinks of Hellraiser, the music is probably one of the last things that they'll probably think of. But
Right.
but it's such a solid score, like you said.
And it will get stuck in your head.
Yes, absolutely.
Mm.
I the
It's
first time I
magical.
saw Hellraiser, I could not stop. Like just the opening, just the opening credits. I was like,
Yeah.
"Yep, this is all I'm going to be hearing now. I don't care what the dialogue is. The music's good."
And when I saw the new Hellraiser, which I liked it a lot.
Mhm.
Um, Near the end of the movie, they use it in a pivotal scene. Like it plays right after Pinhead, the new Pinhead says, "We have such sights to show you," and
Yep.
then bomb, 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 and it's so grand and majestic, and just, mm,
It
I had
hit.
it. I had to do it. So, quick recap through 7 rounds. Chris's lineup: Scream, Beetlejuice, Silver Bullet, Terrifier, Gremlins, Hatchet, and Godzilla. My lineup: Jurassic Park, Psycho, Nope, Candyman, The Omen, Halloween, and Hellraiser. Round 8. Who you got?
Suspiria. Enough said.
Okay. Okay. There we go. There we go.
That was another one where it's like, "Oh, I didn't have this written down on my list. Why didn't I have this on my list?"
I put it on mine, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's I'm looking at your spreadsheet. I'm like, wow, I should have
It
thought
was
of
there.
that.
Okay. Yeah, Suspiria is a great score. Have I ever told you my Suspiria story?
Um, not. I don't think so. No.
I'm gonna.
Please.
I I have not seen Suspiria, and I refuse to. Back in the day, back in the day, there was this show that changed my life. It's called Bravo's 100 Scariest Movie Moments.
Yep.
And after trick or treating, in 2004, my mom and I we went to my madrina and padrino's house, and my padrino was watching that, and I was watching that, and it showed me so many horror movie moments that I was not equipped for. But I specifically, and I know, like, that show was the first time I saw Candyman. It was the
Hmm.
first time I saw Pinhead. It was the first time I saw American Werewolf in London. Not the movies, but the moments, right?
Right.
Suspiria is the one that stuck with me. The one that, like, because they showed the one girl, I think it's in the beginning of the movie, I don't know, I haven't seen it. But she gets attacked by a werewolf, I think,
Hmm.
maybe, I don't know, and then she, like, gets pushed, and then she, like, falls through a glass ceiling, and then she's like and it's so bloody and, like, but the colors are so vibrant, and I'm not gonna lie, as a 10-year-old, I wasn't exposed to Italian surrealism in film yet.
Hmm. I wouldn't think so as a 10-year-old.
So, it kinda fucked me up,
Yeah.
and go see horror movies left and right. I do horror for a living now, right?
Hmm.
I'm in it. I make it. I I'm there opening night for Terrifier 3. I'll be there opening night for Smile 2. Like, I am in the genre.
Hmm.
I go to the conventions. I host a podcast. I make them.
Hmm.
I don't wanna see the original Suspiria because I think it's scary.
See, now, as someone who's half Italian, I'm gonna be the first one to tell you it's worth it. Um,
I
the
can't
just
do it. It's scary.
look, if I ever make it to Michigan one of these days, we're gonna hang out. That's gonna be the first movie we watch.
We're
Um,
gonna hang out, but
it's
I don't know if we're gonna be you might watch it.
oh, I'm watching it. The colors are great. The score is
Yeah.
even better. It's Italian. I'm Italian. Um,
I do like
but
Italian horror, though.
it's funny how you mentioned, like, how you got into horror at such a young age too, because I kinda had a similar experience. There was a book, I still have it, it's missing half of the cover because I read it so much. It was called A Field Guide to Monsters, and I think it was written by Dave Elliott and a couple other ghostwriters, and that's how I learned about so many different movie monsters and slashers and villains. Like, it would cover everything from the T-Rex in Jurassic Park to Jack Torrance to Norman Bates to Freddy Krueger. And but also there still is a YouTube show called Monster Madness by Cinemassacre. I'm sure you know all about that. That's like a very popular series. So getting into that at a young age kind of it got me into the classics like Phantom of the Opera and Dracula, and then it also kind of opened my eyes to The Exorcist and
Mm.
Poltergeist and Cabin Fever and all these other movies. And every year that was like a tradition for me. I would always watch it like the day the new videos would come out. And honestly, those two things are what turned me into the horror fan I am today. And it happened by being scarred at a young age, watching Jaws when I shouldn't have, kind of like you watching Suspiria or Bravo's 100 Scariest Moments.
That was it. It was
Um,
all of them at once, but Suspiria is the one that stuck. Because everything else I conquered.
well, you
I
got one
conquered
more.
Hellraiser. I'm tapping out, bud. That is my
Fine.
one line. That is my one line. But I guess I should pick. There's one I really want to pick, but
Hey, you're playing to win, right? Go ahead.
I kind of want to have some fun too.
Oh, okay. Fun.
So this one, all right. So I'm gonna pick this one because it is so. It did a number on me in 2010. I thought it was so scary, and it is still, but it's so weird, and it's so like dissonant, and like I don't know. It just works. It's chaotic and eerie, and I feel like a lot of the movie, Joe Bishara was just telling the string section to just beat up your instrument
Yep.
and we'll call that music. And I'm going with Insidious.
As soon as you said 2010, I knew what it was going to be.
It could have been Danny
20
Elfman's The Wolfman.
2010 and weird. That's all I
Okay, there we
need.
go. There we go. Yeah, Insidious is great.
I have very fond memories of my older cousin and my older sister at my grandma's house watching that movie. That was the very first time that like I was exposed to the concept of like cracking jokes during a movie so you're not scared out of your mind because that's what my cousin was doing. It was literally me. Hold on, I'm looking at the camera. Me, my cousin, and my sister. We're all just sitting next to each other watching this movie, and my cousin's in the middle just cracking these jokes, hiding under a blanket, and all this other stuff. And like the movie itself, like there were some jump scares. Obviously, the Darth Maul look-alike. I think that got
Mhm.
everybody. But like just that feeling of uneasiness and the music, like you said, just beat up stringed instruments and call that a score.
Yeah.
That really stuck out to me too when I saw it in 2010. And yeah, I don't watch it a lot. Like I've seen some of the sequels and they're
Mhm.
just not my cup of tea anymore. But that first one and that experience of watching it with my cousin and my sister, that has stuck out to me, and that's fun.
I love that. I love the Insidious series. I actually think the second one's my favorite.
The second one's good. I saw that one in the theater, and that one freaked me out more than the first one, if I'm being honest.
I saw the second one in the theater too. I didn't see the first one in the theater. I watched it with some of my high school buddies, um, in one of our rooms, and we watched it on a laptop, and it scared the shit out of me still.
Naturally.
So naturally, I saw the second one in theaters,
Hmm.
and I remember I jumped like 15 feet in the air when the one, what they call her, the Mother of Death came out. She's like, "Don't you
You
dare!"
dare.
and just
Me too.
backhands Rose Byrne into next Tuesday.
Hmm. That's
Ah,
when I think of
that
Insidious
is so
2,
good.
that's the moment too. That one
That's what
got me.
yeah. Don't you dare! I love that. Oh, it's so good. But yeah, I'll do our recap through 8 rounds. Chris's lineup: Scream, Beetlejuice, Silver Bullet, Terrifier, Gremlins, Hatchet, Godzilla, and Suspiria. My lineup: Jurassic Park, Psycho, Nope, Candyman, The Omen, Halloween, Hellraiser, and Insidious.
See, when you
Two
say
more
them all back to
rounds.
back like that, man, that's solid.
Two
uh,
more rounds.
God, dude, that came fast. Jesus. Okay. Um, I had look, I have to represent the universal monsters. That's my thing. um,
Mhm.
but I can't pick my favorite one because the only source of music was Swan Lake, and that's a cop out because it was during the opening credits.
And
Um,
that's not original. You
yeah,
can't pick
exactly.
Tchaikovsky.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm. Let me pick Beethoven's Fifth.
Look, it's worth a shot, okay? No,
Yeah, yeah.
I originally had The Creature from the Black Lagoon. However,
Mm.
I
I do like that score.
just because like the main theme of like every single time the creature's on the screen, even if it's just his hand, it's like these blaring trumpets and the brass. It's like,
And the
okay,
horns, yeah.
yeah, it's like, look, it was cool the first few times. Now it's getting annoying.
Not for
um
me.
yeah, it's tough. Like I like it, but
No,
I
I
feel
get
like
it.
I got to go with just I enjoy this score a lot more, and I feel like it fits the vibe more, and that is the Wolfman. Um, it's kind of there are moments where it kind of sounds like Danny Elfman, specifically the Batman score.
Mhm.
I haven't seen the movies, but I've heard the scores. Riddle me that one. um, but yeah, I think the different tones that it takes throughout the movie. Number one, the opening theme that plays over the credits, that's iconic in its own right. And the way they have the different variations throughout the movie as he becomes the Wolfman, um, it's very effective. And I feel like when you think of the Universal monsters, it's like you had Dracula and you have Frankenstein, and that was like the very first sound horror film. So obviously, there's not a lot of music because it was still a new technology that they were getting used to. By 1941, when The Wolfman was made, they kind of had their footing a bit. So they had the liberty
Right.
of really composing a score around the film. And off the top of my head, I can't remember if that's like the first Universal film with a score like that. I don't think it is, but for me, that was the one that was the most impactful. Plus it's the Wolfman. Like I love
It
that
might be
movie
the
so
first of
much.
the no, you know what? Bride of Frankenstein
Yeah, that's right. I knew it was one of them,
has a
like a
score.
sequel. That's a good one too.
Because the timpani kinda plays like the heartbeat.
Yeah.
So, honorable mention, Bride of Frankenstein, but yeah, The Wolfman. Um, I gotta rewatch the film because I don't remember the score off the top of my head. I know it's a good one because but, like, I can't think of a melody from it right now, which is funny. I can think of The Creature from the Black Lagoon. I can hear that in my head. Um, ba, ba, ba. Exactly, exactly.
I would
Once that gets in your head, it's never leaving.
I would I would hum something from the Wolfman, but I'm tone deaf, so
Oh, well, you got The Creature from the Black Lagoon, right?
it's because I gotta scream like a screaming goat. I can do that any day.
So, all right, The Wolfman. On to me. Do I be nice?
No.
Okay, I won't be. I gotta take A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
How's it still there?
I mean, in our defense, and yes, I will say our defense, um, like we said about Halloween, it's like certain slasher characters are more popular than others, but when you think of their scores, it's not the same ranking. And I feel like A Nightmare on Elm Street kind of falls short in that aspect because yes, it has that everyone knows the main theme, everyone knows like that chord progression. But thinking of like the rest of the movie, it's kind of like it's hard. It's like unless you're like you've seen it a million times and you're like really into that, it's probably hard for other parts of that to stick out to people.
I disagree.
Oh, okay. Well, whatever. Forget everything I said.
No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding about disagreeing.
Right.
But like, I like, I like. I mean, the bum 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 bum. Like
Hmm.
everyone knows that. Or
Yeah.
not everyone. Every horror fan knows that.
Right.
But like the scene um, where Johnny Depp's character Glenn gets sucked into and
Yeah.
it's like pow pow. It's like, oh, it's so good. It's so good, and there's just scary writing all over the place, and
Mhm.
I love A Nightmare on Elm Street. I love the tone of it. Um, I think the music does a very good job kinda just putting you in a nightmare.
Yeah. I think obviously, like, I love Scream and I love Wes Craven, but Wes Craven has a history of just doing revolutionary stuff, and, A
He
Nightmare on
does.
Elm Street is just one of those examples of just redefining horror, n adding something new to a genre that was becoming stale at the time. It's such a great movie. I obviously, like, people I've said this a few times, I love New Nightmare the most and Dream
Mhm.
Warriors, but the first one's a classic, so it's kinda
Yeah.
you gotta give it props. Also, it's hard to talk about A Nightmare on Elm Street without bringing up our mutual friend Deandra, Sassy Sledgehammer, just because
Yes.
she's like the voice of Nightmare on Elm Street right now. She's every time I think I know a thing or two about Nightmare on Elm Street, she brings up something new, and I'm like, how did I not know that? Um,
If she's if she watches or listens to this, she's gonna be so mad, "I waited this long to pick Nightmare. I'm sorry."
oh yeah, she's gonna crucify me for what I said about it not being as iconic as other scores.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man, I'll
Get
take
him,
the heat.
Deandra, get him.
I'm sorry. I still loved your interview with Robert Englund, though.
Oh, I love that. Alrighty, I will do our recap. 9 rounds, 1 to go. Chris's lineup: Scream, Beetlejuice, Silver Bullet, Terrifier, Gremlins, Hatchet, Godzilla, Suspiria, The Wolfman. My lineup: Jurassic Park, Psycho, Nope, Candyman, The Omen, Halloween, Hellraiser, Insidious, and A Nightmare on Elm Street. Last round.
Oh man, this is the last round, isn't it?
Yep.
Dang it. Um,
There are a lot of heavy hitters you can
I
choose.
know. I'm looking around, like at my walls, trying to look for more inspiration. Like I don't have a Gremlins poster right there. Like I don't have Creature from the
Right.
Black Lagoon. um,
There's one glaring omission,
I know it's. Is it?
and you don't
Um,
wanna pick it.
I do. I really do. Let's see. Hold on. And I can't pick man. I was gonna
You
just
could argue
for
there are 3 glaring omissions.
oh, there's a few. I'm looking at this. I'm
Yeah.
scared of this list. Like, just for the sake of shout outs, the silent film I was gonna pick was Nosferatu, and it was the silent orchestra
Mm,
score. That score specifically is like the best in my opinion. I've seen them quite literally. I didn't do the math, but I've seen hundreds of versions of that movie, and that's still the best score in my opinion. But for my final pick, I am going to go with Jaws. I have to. I
you have to.
I'm looking at this list and I'm looking at my list. Like I really wanted to throw a curveball and do something like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre just for the sake of like
Oh,
it's
you mean like the just sound effects?
yes, just for uniqueness sake. But I'm like, no, I'm not gonna do that. I wanted to I don't know what your next pick's gonna be, but my reasoning for not picking The Exorcist is because Tubular Bells is awesome, but what I like about The Exorcist is that there's not much of a score outside of
Mhm,
that. Oh, there's unused scores that are online that I think are great, but I when I think of a score, I don't think of The Exorcist, even though it's one of my favorite movies of all time. So I mean, I gotta go with Jaws in that respect because that's one of the heaviest hitters, through and
it
through,
is, yeah.
from
I
beginning to end.
I think there are great horror scores. If you have the argument for the greatest horror score, me personally, I think I on I only give credibility to Jaws and Psycho.
Mm.
I
Yeah,
love Halloween. I don't think it's on the level of those two. It might be a distant third. Because
Yeah, I
Halloween's
can agree.
iconic.
Oh,
Halloween
yeah.
is great. But Jaws just might be the most famous score of all time. And Jaws rips off Psycho a little bit in certain places.
Oh, you're right.
Because every horror score rips off Psycho in certain places, it feels like.
Yeah, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Very fair, very fair. And then I think Halloween is like right there, but I think Jaws and Psycho are on another level. Then it's Halloween. Then it's a competition.
Mm-hmm. That's
But
a fair
yeah,
assessment. I agree.
it might be a sin to go through this draft and not have a J-Dubs pick on your list. So I'm glad you didn't sin.
I appreciate it. I'm starting to
Jaws is
feel
great.
I was starting to feel the hellfire coming up under me. I was like, I
Right.
gotta.
And you were able to get some like iconic ones in there, like Beetlejuice. People love Beetlejuice. Godzilla, that's a
Mm,
heavy hitter. Suspiria, I haven't seen the movie, but I know that score.
maybe one day that'll change.
So we'll go into our lists a little after. I have one pick left, and I think I'm gonna go with a heavy hitter, a one that horror fans love, but it's not gonna be The Exorcist. The Exorcist is omitted from this list.
Oh,
It's not gonna be The Shining. Neither of us picked The Shining. This one actually hurts me a little bit, but I gotta be true to myself. I'm sorry, I'm debating between 2.
it's
I
hard,
didn't
isn't it?
well, I didn't think 2 of these heavy hitters were gonna both be here. But
And these are both composers that you still haven't chosen yet. Also,
correct,
oh wow.
because I have not chosen and you'll know the scores I'm debating between. I have not chosen Charlie Closer,
Yep.
and I have not chosen Ennio Morricone.
Oh, you know, it's funny because like Ennio Morricone, that's who Marco Beltrami looked to for main inspiration for Scream because of his
Mhm.
westerns. Just look. Oh yeah, that's tough. I'm glad I'm not in that position, buddy.
I have picked John Carpenter,
Oh yeah, you got me there.
but he didn't compose what I'm thinking. He only directed it.
Hmm.
Yet it sounds like something he would do.
I feel like you
I'm
should.
sorry, I gotta go with my heart. I'm sorry to the Saw fans. Honorable mention Saw, but I have to go with Ennio Morricone's score for John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, that's
Boom,
that's a classic.
boom,
That's the
boom,
classic of all classics, from
boom, boom,
effects to cinematography to
boom,
music.
boom. So good! Oh, I love The Thing. And I saw an anniversary screening of it 2 years ago.
Me
And
too.
it was so fun. I really enjoyed it.
I got there late. I missed like the opening credits, but I saw the rest of the movie. Um, yeah, I love the thing. I think
And it's such a tense score.
yes,
It is like
absolutely.
it is like tension in musical form.
Hmm.
Just like Psycho is violence and Jaws is nature
Hmm.
in musical form.
That's a good
Like
assessment.
so
You got me wanting to watch The Thing again. I think when we get off of this call, I'm gonna pull it up.
you got me wanting to watch Hatchet.
Yeah.
Um I mean I love Hatchet, so oh definitely I need to rewatch The Wolfman. That's it's mid-October. I haven't watched any Universal Monsters yet. I always watch like a few of them in October.
That's a sin.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
prime monster season.
So yeah, I got to do my monsters, but final recap for our horror score draft. Chris's lineup: Scream, Beetlejuice, Silver Bullet, Terrifier, Gremlins, Hatchet, Godzilla, Suspiria, The Wolfman, and Jaws. My lineup: Jurassic Park, Psycho, Nope, Candyman, The Omen, Halloween, Hellraiser, Insidious, A Nightmare on Elm Street, and The Thing.
See, when you say them all back to back like that, it's like it really puts it into perspective. Like you really do play the win. You weren't messing around.
Well, it's easy because like I love all these scores.
Yeah.
So like um so it's like if you're going to leave Halloween on the board that long, yeah, I'm going to take it,
Yeah, that's a
right?
punishment. Um,
I almost had Saw, you know?
yeah. I'm surprised you didn't go with Aliens. When you were saying that you were torn between two for your last pick, I thought that one of them was Aliens. Because I knew you couldn't do Alien because of Jerry Goldsmith, but
I like Aliens as a score. I think James Horner, rest in peace, was an amazing composer.
mhm,
Aliens is not my favorite score though. I mean, there's parts of it I like. I love how metallic it is.
yeah.
I love the parts where James Horner is like, "Hey, French horns, fucking go crazy," and the
Yeah,
French horn is like, "We're gonna go nuts." Do, 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 do. Oh, the brass writing in Aliens,
yeah.
fantastic. My issue with Aliens is it doesn't really. I just feel like James Horner saw what Jerry Goldsmith did. It was like, nah, I'm gonna do my own thing, which I get it,
Mhm.
but I fucking love Jerry Goldsmith's score for Alien.
Yeah.
So,
I feel like
and I
also
couldn't.
just sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say I couldn't pick Alien because I picked The Omen.
Yeah. I felt like that one. I knew Jerry Goldsmith was going to be a tough one for both of us, but especially for you
Yeah,
because I know how much you love both The Omen and Alien. So having to make that call was probably not the easiest decision to make. Um
I thank you for not making me pick between Gremlins and The Omen.
yeah, I was looking and I'm like, I don't want to I don't want to not take advantage of this cuz I did not have Gremlins on the list that I wrote.
Mhm.
Um and I was like, I probably should. Then I was like starting to think of the score in my head. I'm like, yep, I need that.
And in fairness, we were supposed to have 3 people.
Man, that would
So that would
yeah,
have changed up a
oh,
lot of stuff.
that would
Like,
have been
I doubt
so
I would have
competitive.
gotten Halloween that late.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely not. I feel like
Right.
Vanna, I don't know Vanna, we've never interacted. I'm a huge fan of her work, but I feel like she would have called us both out for leaving certain movies on for longer than they probably deserve. Um, but
She
yeah,
might have taken Halloween or Suspiria first.
oh yeah. Well, yeah, I can see Suspiria for sure. That definitely wouldn't have lasted very
Yeah.
long. Yeah,
Unfortunately, she wasn't feeling well, and no worries. No worries. She's a
there's always
homie.
next time,
There's always next time.
and
We'll
she's here in
we'll do
spirit.
something.
We're thinking of her.
Exactly. Exactly. And, but yeah, when you're not feeling well, you're not feeling well. No sense in doing a live stream and making your body feel worse. Like, no.
Mhm.
Mm-mm. So, hope you feel better, my friend. But yeah, that is our lineup. Uh, Fun scores. I'm super happy with my list.
I would be too. I'm good with my list. I'm happy with I I feel like you can definitely see my bias in my list because a lot of them are just my favorite movies. Um,
Fair. It's
but
fair. I mean,
yeah,
I started off with my favorite movie.
yeah. You know, I was wondering because I don't think Yeah, it's not even on this list, and I was like, he can't not pick Jurassic Park. um,
It
because
was
I knew.
part of it was me being sneaky.
um,
You could have been a
it,
dick and picked Jurassic Park first. You really could have.
oh, I really wanted to, but I was scared you were gonna pick Scream towards the beginning, so I'm like, no, I need that.
And I was scared that like you might have picked Jurassic Park. So I'm like, I'm just gonna rip off this band-aid right away.
Oh, the irony.
Um, exactly. And things might have went a little different had we had the 3 people. But I
Hmm.
think me picking Jurassic Park right away, you're like, I can pick Jaws whenever I want. I can go
Yeah,
and do what I really want to pick because I have Jaws.
yeah, that's exactly what went through my mind. I was like,
Now,
okay, I got time.
if we had 3 people, I
Mm.
don't think Jaws is waiting.
That would have been gone by round 3 or 4 max.
Right. Maybe not that soon either.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe not that late, I mean, like, it might have been even sooner.
it would have been you would have picked Jurassic Park. I would have picked,
Mhm.
let's see, another John Williams. I would have picked.
Well, for horror, there's War of the Worlds.
I probably would have gone with.
I think he did The Witches of
Um,
Eastwick.
did he?
I think he did. I know he's done a witches movie.
He
I
did
think
Close
it's
Encounters, right? Did he do that one? I
he
know Spielberg
did.
did.
Is that a horror score?
I mean,
Hmm.
sci-fi.
I you know what? I wouldn't accept Close Encounters. I would accept Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
I I disagree. Well, yeah, now that I think about it, I can see the argument there. I personally wouldn't do it, but there's definitely a conversation for that. Um,
Me personally,
yeah.
I don't think Close Encounters is a horror movie at all. I think it has one horror scene
Mhm.
because that one scene is very scary, but I can't to me it's just once I think it's a movie without conflict.
That's fair. Yeah.
There's no real danger in the movie.
I mean,
And I think horror you have to be presented with either literal death or the idea of death.
yeah,
Close
that's
Encounters doesn't do that.
that's fair.
But you know what does? Fucking Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, Kali Ma, and that movie is trying to gross you out.
Mhm.
It's Indiana Jones with in a haunted house movie,
Oh, yeah. I never thought of it that way, but yeah, you're right.
and I'm not saying it's a horror movie, but there is enough horror movie moments and horror music for me to put it to allow it.
Mhm.
But Close Encounters, I love Close Encounters too. That's one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't think I would have allowed it though.
That's fine, I guess.
But War of the
Um,
Worlds easy.
yeah, that probably would have been mine, and then
Lost World, I would have accepted.
really, even though that's a sequel? Well, I mean, Aliens, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, as long as different composers.
Mhm.
Like I picked Halloween. You could have picked um Halloween 2018
Mm,
because you didn't pick a John Carpenter.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, I feel like if I was gonna pick a John Carpenter, it would have been Halloween. No, no, it would have been Christine. That's a lie.
Well, I was planning on picking Christine because
But
I thought
nobody
you
was
were gonna
picking
pick
Halloween.
Halloween, and then at one point I'm like, this motherfucker's not picking Halloween.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna get it. I like, and then I was surprised you still didn't pick Christine.
Yeah, I was trying to think. I was going back and forth with my list and yours, and I was like, well, I could go with this one. um I forgot. Like the further we got, I was like,
Mhm.
oh yeah. I think it was like the seventh or eighth pick. I was like, I have not picked a John Carpenter. What is wrong with me?
And then you proceeded to not pick a John Carpenter.
No, I picked Jaws.
Well, that is fair. That is fair. Uh, John Williams is the greatest film composer ever.
Yes. No argument there.
And Jaws is one of the greatest scores ever, not just in horror.
It's also one of the best horror movies ever made because a lot of people don't think it's a horror movie, which is beyond my comprehension.
I just think it's I think it's the greatest movie ever made.
I agree. Like there are movies that I enjoy more and I rewatch more and I would rank
Sure.
higher than
Yeah.
Jaws. However, Jaws is just when that's on, like if it's on TV, I don't care if it's like halfway through, I'm watching it till it's over. It is such a
And
good movie.
I don't know if it's the best movie ever made. I think there are contenders for that, but I just don't think any movie has had the impact, the influence that Jaws has.
hmm That caused my irrational fear of swimming in a small above ground pool when I was 8 years old.
And
And
that is a common story.
yeah,
And yet some people are like, "Jaws isn't a horror movie." Fuck off with
see
that shit.
when I my thoughts exactly. When I did it was around when I first started doing dead noise and I think it was my second Monster Memories video was Jaws. And before the video actually went up, I was like posting memes the week before. One of them was like the SpongeBob mocking meme, like Jaws isn't a horror movie. And then I showed like the picture, oh, the severed leg, the kid that's drowning, and
Mhm.
the shark. And I'm like, this is not a horror movie. You really want to tell me that? When there's exhibit A through Z of why
Right.
it's a horror movie. Same with Jurassic Park. Um, like a lot of people don't see it as a horror movie, and I
That
disagree.
one I get I mean, obviously, I disagree. That built a whole show off of that.
Yeah.
I make that argument weekly, I feel like. But, I do see the argument against too. Like, that one, I don't get mad about. Like,
Yeah.
that one because Jurassic Park is so many different things.
Mhm.
I think it's very clearly a horror movie, but it's also very clearly an adventure movie. It's also very clearly a sci-fi movie. It's all of these
Yeah.
things. And, that's the magic of that movie. Jaws is so much a horror movie. I'm like, "Okay." And some people are like, it's more of a thriller."
Oh my g dude,
How?
don't
How
say
is
that
that a thriller?
sentence in front of me ever. I can't stand that. Oh my gosh. The amount of times I've heard that in regards to Jaws, Silence of the Lambs, Scream, oh my god, I could tell you so many movies where someone says that to me and I'm like, "No." It I'm of the belief, and I know this is kind of a not popular opinion for some people, I don't like the term thriller at all because I feel like it's very demeaning to horror movies. It's like, oh, I like people who use it a lot, like the people that I don't want to name names, but like the celebrities that I've heard use it, they look down on the horror genre and they'll talk about a horror movie, but like only say it's a thriller, like without acknowledging that it's a horror movie and it's good, just because that's such a horror's always been overlooked and underappreciated to like critics and the masses and I'm preaching to the choir but I think you know what I'm talking about.
The only person who I will allow to say thriller is Michael Jackson.
I like it. I agree.
That song's a banger, and horror doesn't sing as well as thriller. I will give him that.
That's true. I will concede to that. You are right.
But I think that's also a song from a time where horror and thriller were interchangeable. They were just called
Yes.
horror thrillers.
Yeah. I mean, there's a poster somewhere, and it's one of the Universal movies, and they called it a thriller. And it's like when people you take that to today's audience, nobody would consider the Universal monsters thrillers. Um,
Right, and I think there was a time where the 2 terms were interchangeable,
mhm.
but I think thriller has kinda evolved to be its own thing.
I feel like it's been
Diet horror, maybe.
I feel like it's been more like in context with the literary term of like just suspense novels and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
And that's where it comes through for like people talking about horror movies, that just because there's not a lot of blood and guts, or just because there's not a
Right,
ghost, it you can't just have a suspenseful horror movie anymore. So they have to say it's more of a thriller. And I can understand why people say it. Obviously, I just don't agree with it. But I feel like that's just the gatekeepy, like, protective part of the genre fan that I am. Like, I grew up like teachers and professors, like they looked down on horror and they didn't think it was worth any merit, and that pissed me off. So
right.
certain terms kind of trigger me like that. And I know it's kind of like a not a popular opinion. I know some people agree with it, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. I still pick Jurassic Park.
I still pick Jaws. How about that?
Exactly, exactly. So, thank you guys for listening. Thank you for, um, let us know what you think, who won. Um, I'll announce myself as the winner on I'll announce who the winner is on Halloween. Before we end this stream, Chris, where can the people find you should you want to be found?
I like how you added that. Should I want to be found? Um, I am on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube. I think my YouTube handle is the same because YouTube has handles now. At Dead Noise Blog. I'm relatively active, and some days more active than I should be. Um, I love talking horror. I love talking music, and I love talking horror and music with you, especially Austin.
Oh,
And
thank you.
I've come across a lot of cool people from your show, like just listening to it, and it's really cool to see like you form a community of your own with these awesome people, and I'm just honored to be a part of it, and that's like no BS for me.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, I'm on Twitter, Instagram at Dead Noise Blog. I'm not on Facebook, not on TikTok. Sometimes I write on Substack. I'm very inconsistent. Um, but I'm trying to get more active on YouTube and Substack, trying to write more. I've got um I've got some album reactions I still need to write from like the past month. Monster Memories is coming back. I just did the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'm trying to do 3 or 4 more by the end of the year. Um so yeah, I will be I'll be around for sure.
awesome. Alrighty, guys. That is our episode. That is our stream. Thank you guys so much for listening. Next week, we go into Slashtober by I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Next week, consider it Slothtober. I think you guys know what movie we're covering with a returning guest. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And until then, I'm Austin Torres. Try not to die.